Hello, hello, hello. Whoa. I feel like I just did so many hand motions. My name's Cupid, and today we're talking about the Kia Asylum. A twink talking about a phrase that was invented on Stan Twitter. Wow, this is revolutionary. Someone call the press. No one's ever done this before. Yeah, we are going to be talking about the Kia Asylum, and I specifically want to talk about how I think we're in this, interesting age where streams have seemed to replace talent, so to speak. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna have so much fun. I'm so excited. And well, I just hope no one on Stan Twitter finds this because I think my address is going to be leaked, which isn't fun. So let's get into it, I guess. Now, for those of you who are either employed or heterosexual, you might be sitting here being like, what is this twink yammering on about? What the hell is the Kia Asylum? Well, the Kia Asylum is a reference to the singer Khia. Originally, it was called the Khia Asylum. Khia was known for her song My Neck, My Back, parentheses, Lick It. Truly the Shakespeare of our generation, so to speak. And this term came to be known for artists who had had some sort of breakout hit, but hadn't gained any sort of long-lasting relevancy. Think artists like Ava Max with Sweet But Psycho, or pre-Brat Charlie XCX, who had boom clap, and everything else was kind of more niche, right? And BB Rex is another name that's kind of thrown in there a lot. And I think that's because although people know her song, she does have a few hits under her belt. She, as an artist, hasn't really gained any sort of relevancy. People don't know who BB Rexa is. They just know her music. Eventually, this term came to be known as the Kia Asylum because of the spelling. And I do think that this was, it is a bit of unfortunate irony for Kaya. A whole term invented for her, and people don't even know how to pronounce her name. It's really sad. But for the longest time, the Kia Asylum was something that was just known on Twitter. However, eventually it did get a fast track to popularity, and by that I mean it got famous on TikTok.
Who is and who is not in the Kia Asylum?
We're going to be talking about the Kia Asylum.
Now, I think part of the reason why the phrase Kia sort of reached critical mass so quickly does have to do in part with artists Zara Larsson and BB Rexa. Now, I think in Zara's case, it's interesting because for the longest time, she was kind of just known for her songs Symphony and Lush Life. Besides those, her career had unfortunately fallen off, and I'm saying this as someone who enjoyed most of her music after those eras, right? But, streaming-wise, she had never really gotten that same success. But when she released Midnight Sun, suddenly her career boosted, and people claimed that she had now escaped the Kia Asylum. And she herself had even admitted that, yeah, I'm so glad to have left the Kia Asylum, so glad to, be relevant now in, the public eye. And that was great for her. And I think because she and her success were kind of correlated with the Kia Asylum, and I think the fact that this term had already started having remnants of its own life outside of Twitter, it kind of just boosted not only her career, but it also boosted the word and its usage, I would say. However, in BB Rexa's case, it's a bit different because BB Rexa, like we mentioned earlier, she has hits, right? She does have songs that are doing really well. BB Rexa's issue has always been people don't know who she is, right? If she started flopping, no one would really care because she didn't have stans in the first place. And so what BB did is she made an Instagram story, I think it was, making a joke about the Kia Asylum and the fact that she herself is a quote-unquote Kia. And it was completely humorous, and I think that it actually worked really well in her favor because that's the issue, was that people didn't know who BB was as a person. Doing this kind of, not only humanized her and made people relate to her, it, showed that she was funny, and it also showed that she understood stan culture. And I think for her, it was just a very smart marketing move.
I'm here at the Kia Asylum.
But I think both of these women talking about the Kia Asylum so openly kind of led other artists to say something. And do all of them understand what it is? No. I mean, Ava Max said that she was glad to have left the Kia Asylum. I don't think she knows what that is. Because, I mean, she hasn't done anything recently that would have warranted that. I don't know. But it is kind of interesting. And it's also really interesting to see that Zara Larsson has, since her, initial, boost in popularity, has actually come out to say that, no, she doesn't actually like the Kia Asylum trend, and she does wish that it as a whole would kind of wrap up. And I have to agree with her. I really do.
But I feel like wrap it up. Wrap it up like the Kia Asylum, Asylum.
Now, let me put it out there, right? I understand that the Kia Asylum and being a Kia is a joke. It is a silly joke. It is a giggle. It is a guffaw. And I get that. However, I do also think that it is really interesting to kind of look at celebrity culture and how people approach celebrities, which is why I'm interested in talking about it. But I did just want to note that, right? Like, I know it is a joke, and I know I'm going to go in depth about things, and some people are going to be like, it's not that deep. And it maybe isn't, but I do also think that some parts of what I'm going to say are that deep. I think that my biggest issue with the Kia Asylum as a whole does stem from the fact that it is once again telling artists that the only way to be successful or to be seen as talented is to have high streams. And I just don't think that that's everyone's goal. I think there are obviously people who want to be the next Beyonce, who want to be the next Taylor Swift. There are a lot of people who want that for themselves, and I think that that's great, and I hope that they achieve that. But there's also a lot of people who want a more niche audience. And I think that the Kia Asylum as a concept is kind of pushing these artists to feel like they need to have more streams and need to have more fans, as opposed to just kind of keeping the collective that they want. And I think it's, really important to note that at the end of the day, like, it's not illegal to flop. Having low streams is not a crime. Okay, all right. My new single's been out for a couple hours now. Oh my god, I can't wait to see what people are thinking. I know that they're going to be living for this. Okay, let's see. This song makes me wish that my father had remembered to buy condoms so I was never born. Okay, ouch. Yeah, that wasn't great, but that was the first comment, okay? The rest they're gonna be nicer. Girl, why does this sound like something ChatGPT would have made if you asked it to make the worst song imaginable? Okay, well, not everything's a hit. Maybe this will be my gnarly. And people will, like, grow on it. I know my, like, dedicated fans. They'll, like, okay, here. My Stan account tweeted this. Okay. It's okay, guys. This is actually just a joke, and they're going to release the real single tomorrow. Am I flopping? No, I can't flop. No. Pull yourself together. You're still famous. You have 5 Grammys. You are still famous. LAPD, you are under arrest. Oh my god, I can't believe it. You guys find out my merch wasn't made ethically or legally. What are you talking about? Wait, that isn't why you're here? You, ma'am, are in violation of an FLOP. You are a flop fender. Well, good luck trying to take me, because my fans will never let me flop. Yeah, well, good luck with that. You lost all your fans when you tweeted, "Twinks are an invasive species." How was I supposed to know they care? If RuPaul tweeted it, they'd be living. RuPaul is gay. She's a lesbian? She's a man. Well, that's just transphobic. What? No. We're getting sidetracked. We are getting sidetracked. You need to come with me to the Kia Asylum. Wait. If you listen to my song, I promise you will understand that it's good, and I'm not flopping. If I listen to this, will you stop complaining? Probably not. I'll take it.
Yeah. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Ever since we fucked, goddamn it hurts when I pee.
So did you like it? Wow. Yeah, no, I don't think that you should go to the Kia Asylum, actually. Oh my god, really? I think you should go to hell. Now, I think Twitter as a whole is kind of simultaneously both the best and the worst place to see how people feel about different celebrities. Worst in the sense that, like, you go on Stan Twitter for 2 seconds and you're learning slurs that you don't even think are, like, real yet. But they're gonna be real soon. And there's this, like, tweet that I, like, think about sometimes, and it's like, there comes a point in every gay person's life where they have to pick a pop diva. And that is 1, very funny, 2, very true, and 3, reminds me of that scene from Tinkerbell where she's, like, just born and she has to pick, like, her magic, like, talent. That's what I think of when I think of that. Now, there's this sentiment that, like, queer people in particular kind of attach themselves to their, like, favorite artist and almost make it, like, a part of their personality. And while this is true, I also don't think that this is just, like, a queer person thing. There's this sentiment, and this is not an original thought, like, I remember reading this in a tweet, like, years back, but there's the sentiment that the way gay people interact with celebrities and media and consume it is very akin to the way that straight men interact with, like, their favorite sports players, right? There's this need for people on Twitter to compare their faves and prove why their fave is, like, the best celebrity in the same way that, like, sports fans do. And this just doesn't really work. In sports, you can compare these stats because these stats are, like, factual, right? There is actually something to measure. But when it comes to art, when you compare things like streams and awards and all of that, it just doesn't really make sense to me. Now, obviously, like, to an extent, streams mean something, right? Because if you're putting something out and a lot of people are listening to it, it is at the very least resonating with a lot of people most of the time. But also, I don't even think that's always true. I mean, there have been so many songs that have gone number one on, like, the charts solely because they got, like, popular off TikTok or something, despite the fact that these, like, bodies of work aren't really anything of note a lot of the times. I mean, like, Heat Waves by Glass Animals, I hated that song. I hated it so much, and you could not escape it, and I still don't like the song. But that is no shade to them, because clearly there was something in the song that, like, I just was not getting. It was doing really well, and a lot of people were liking it. I just couldn't stand that, and that is because art is subjective. Therein lies my biggest issue with, like, Stan Twitter and the Kia Asylum as a whole, which is it's just once again pushing this notion that, like, success is talent, right? Like, how many streams you get, how many people are tuning in is inherently indicative of how talented you are as a musician. And I just don't agree with this. There's this common sentiment I see amongst, and I'm going to talk about Swifties. Taylor Swift, that is my girl. That's my diva. She's my girl. Okay, Swifties, I'm about to talk about y'all for a second. Just 1 second. Don't take it as an attack, please. I'm not trying to be me. But there is this sentiment on Twitter where if you ask a Swiftie if they like something that Taylor Swift put out, they will not say yes or no. They will say, well, it's streamed. Well, it's charted. They will say, oh, it charted, so, like... And yes, Swifties are notorious for that. Yeah. But it's not just them. I think it's kind of everyone. At least everyone whose faves are charting, right? If you're an Ethel Cain stan or, like, a Lorde stan, you're not really talking about charts because that's not what your fave is doing. And I also just don't think it's what your fave is trying to do. I think both of those women are, like, very happy being in their lane, right? But I do think a lot of people have fallen for this, like, sort of mindset that if this person has a lot of streams, their art must be good. And I think part of that is due to how much we as queer people tend to tie our own identities to our faves. I think so many people take it as this, like, personal attack if you say that you do not like something that their fave put out. And I think that's also why so many people default to using streams as a metric of success. Because there are times where they don't like the art. They know that they don't like the art, but they don't really want to admit that, because admitting that, is some sort of attack on their fave. But here's the thing, it's okay to not like something. You're not gonna like every piece of artist that someone makes. Like I said, Taylor Swift, I love Taylor Swift, that is my girl. I can admit that there are some songs I don't like, and that's, like, fine, right? Not everything's going to resonate with me, and that's okay. It's fine. And I think that, when we sort of equate success to how many streams you're getting, it really devalues a lot of smaller artists, right? How many people are never going to get millions and millions of streams? How many people are never going to even get considered for any major award shows because they're just not that popular, or that, they don't get any radio play, right? Are we going to sit here and say that these people are less talented because they're not getting streams? We shouldn't. I don't think that art can be defined by how many people are tuning in. I think what makes art good is that it does what it sets out to do, right? If tells the story that it wants to tell, if it makes the listener feel the way they want to feel, right? If it does its job, then I think that that is what makes good art. I don't think good art can be defined by how many awards it's gotten or how many people are listening. I think that good art is just what you make of it. And if you like it, if you think that it is enjoyable to consume, then I would argue that that is good art. And I will give it to Stan Twitter, right? As many bad things as it has done for the, music industry, it is fun to see people fight sometimes. Cardi B stans, they've got a lot to say, honestly, and it's a hoot and holler sometimes whenever I see a pop-based tweet, and I know I'm gonna read that comment section and see the most disgusting, filthiest fights in my life. Oh boy, is it fun.
And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Stan Twitter Rumble. In this corner, we have Ariana's big toenail.
I've been banned off Twitter 5 times, so that bitch Elon can never get rid of me.
Alrighty, and in this corner, we have Beyonce, please leave your bum-ass husband.
If you disagree with me, I'll dox you.
Hey, security, did you hear that? Please be on alert. Well, with introductions out of the way, it's time to ask, are you ready to rumble?
How does it feel to know that my fave is an artist and an actress? She's multi-talented. Your fave can't say the same now, can she? Please, we both know Ariana went to acting because her sales couldn't compete with the queen bee. Well, at least Ariana's still relevant. Does anyone even care about Hagiance anymore? She's like 1,000. Saying that she isn't literally outselling your fave, Beyonce could literally buy Ariana.
Well, you can't actually buy people, that is illegal.
Well, I'm sure she does have money because she's probably older than money. You are talking a lot for someone who stands Miss Race Change Grande.
Oh, you did not.
Yeah, I did. And what are you gonna do about it?
Well, you should kill yourself. Oh, you can't say that.
Now, the last thing I want to touch base on is something that every celebrity fears, and that, my friends, is flopping. Now, flopping is basically an inevitable for every celebrity, and if you're lucky, your flop will be so flop-tacular that no one's gonna remember it. Does anyone remember Madonna's single, Bitch, I'm Madonna? Bitch, I'm Madonna. You don't? You're lucky. I wish I didn't. I think about that song sometimes and I'm like, wow. And I do just want to, I think that people have this really weird notion of what flopping is and how to treat people who are flopping. And first and foremost, let me say, flopping does not mean that someone is a worthless piece of trash who should never touch another instrument again. And I know that that sounds crazy to say, but I swear to God, the way that some people talk about, people who are in their, flop era is really mean. It is brutal. And, I think a lot of times it's about people who have never really had, their big break. And they're like, wow, look at these talentless flops. This is why they're not famous or something. And it's I don't think that someone not having streams necessarily means that they're not talented. I mean, there are definitely some SoundCloud rappers who are putting out some things and you're like, oh, okay, right, yeah. But I don't think that there's this inherent equation to someone's success being tied to how talented they are. I just think for a lot of people it means they just haven't had their break yet. And that also leads me to another point, which is that I don't think everyone wants to be this mega superstar and get millions upon millions of streams. Now, I think for an artist or really any creative ever, I think there is a desire to at least be able to live off of the art you make. Maybe not necessarily become super famous, but I think every creative wants to be able to, make their art sustainable and that be their career. However, not everyone wants to be the next pop diva. There are a lot of people who just kind of want to make music and have like a smaller, more niche audience, and that is all they want, right? For example, like Lorde drops an album every 3 years and we do not hear from her ever again. Literally, like, where is she? I'm worried for her. And that's like, she seemed pretty happy with that. Ethel Cain, I think, is another one who kind of benefits from having a more niche audience because, like, it just works for the type of music that she's making. And Chappell Roan also, I think in recent time, has kind of made it pretty apparent that she preferred her audience and, like, her life before she got super famous. And I don't think that we should shame anyone for wanting that, right? Like, at the end of the day, like, if you would rather have, like, a smaller audience of people who kind of really get your music as opposed to like trying to appeal to the masses, and that is fine. Make the art that you want to make. Don't let someone else dictate that. And that's also like, I want to talk about the fact that I see a lot of people use Kia just to mean someone they don't like or they don't know. I recently saw someone call Taylor Swift a Kia. She's the most streamed female artist and has been for quite some time. You really can't call her a Kia. You cannot like her. It's totally like your right. That's your prerogative. Like who you want. I don't really care. But Kia, that's like going up to George Washington and saying, "Flop, I don't know you." Like, no, you should know George Washington. Even if you don't like him, I'm sure someone has beef with George Washington. I'm sure there's something. He's old as hell. He probably did something. But Kia, and a lot of people I see who get called there are a lot of people who I see get called Kias who really aren't. Like Gracie Abrams and like Somber like have like over like 25 million monthly like listeners, and I don't really like their music at all. I don't have a single song on any of my playlist from them. But like, I'm not gonna sit there and call them a Kia because like they're doing very well. I just don't like their music, right? I've never like heard their songs kind of like just on the radio, right? And a lot of people equate that to being like, well, you must be a Kia because I don't know you. I haven't heard your stuff before. And ideally, you shouldn't know every artist. Ideally, you should, like, go outside. I do this motion and it really, I'm like, God, someone gonna make a fucking 6'7" joke because I'm going like, I hate the internet. But yeah, like, you should go outside, I would hope. Like, you shouldn't know every single artist. Like, it's just not gonna happen. And I think for me, right, like, this sort of instant what about meism that comes up when we talk about the Kia Asylum and people equating not knowing someone to them being inherently, like, not known by anyone, kind of shows to me that the Kia Asylum is just another way to pit artists against each other. For me, it's just sort of another way for people to hate on artists and, like, explain why they hate on them. Because, again, like, you can only say you hate someone's music because you don't like it so much. A lot of people want this sort of metric to prove that this person is a loser, that their music is awful, that they should stop making their art. Because God forbid people make their art for you to consume for free. God forbid. And like I said, I think that for me, the Kia Asylum is really just like, it really seems like it's for people who like have been waiting and waiting and waiting tirelessly for someone to flop. The only thing that people like more than like seeing someone rise and become successful and getting to experience that is seeing someone, fall, unfortunately.
And do you take this man to be your husband?
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god! Excuse me. Guys, I have big news.
What? What is so fucking important that you had to tell everyone right now, even though we are in the middle of something? No one cares about your boring ass fucking wedding. I have news that people are actually gonna care about.
Taylor Swift is flopping. Taylor Swift is flopping.
Are you fucking kidding me? I know, right? Like, honestly, I was starting to lose hope that she was even going to flop. But
I knew it. I knew it.
You decided to interrupt my wedding because Taylor Swift is flopping? What? This was a matter of, like, life and death. Yeah, bitch, and it's about to be really heavy on the fucking death. Come here. Like I said at the start, I understand that the Kia Asylum is a joke. It is a silly, goofy, haha thing, and, like, it's not meant to be taken seriously. I totally get that, and that's so valid. But I do also kind of, like, worry, I guess. Like, I wouldn't want artists to feel pressured to make certain type of art just to be commercially successful, just because to them that is like the only real metric of success that can be measured. I would hate for an artist to want to make something fun and new and experimental and instead feel like they have to make music that's going to be played at like the store Target more than it's going to be played on anyone's playlist because it's just generic, but like it's what's going to make them streams. I want people to make the art that they want to make, and I don't want them to sort of be told that it's not good because people aren't listening, because they're a Kia, so to speak, right? Because there are lots of amazing and talented artists that just haven't been exposed to the general public yet. Everyone has their sort of like best kept secrets, so to speak. And I don't want to, make these artists feel like bad about that. And like I said, I get that it's a joke. I totally get that. I love a giggle and a gaffe. But a guffaw. But I do just, want to talk about streams and how people kind of use streams to mean that like you are talented when that's just not the case, But at the end of the day, consume whatever you want to consume. I want you to enjoy music. I want artists to enjoy making music. I want everyone to be happy. I'm Cupid. I hope you're having such a great day. I hope that you listen to some amazing music, and I hope that whatever endeavors you pursue, that they succeed. Heart emoji, smiley face emoji.